Good evening. This is Matt Mosley with Big Pig Energy on the Arkansas Sports Network, sponsored by Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. Man, I want to welcome tonight. We got back our normal guys, and Coach Kevin Kelly's with us from Little Rock, but we also have a special guest with us tonight. Former Fayetteville High School star and Razorback linebacker, New England Patriot, Jacksonville Jaguar, Mr. Brooks Ellis. Brooks, appreciate you joining Big Pig tonight. Tell us a little bit what Brooks Ellis has been up to these days.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, so it's been a crazy ride since I left Jacksonville back in 2018. So after Jacksonville, I ended on a concussion, and then had to recover from that. I went quickly into the medical device sales career path, did that for 3 years, decided that wasn't for me. So I went back to school, went to Georgetown for a year to get a master's degree in integrative medicine. So that's like all the therapies outside of surgery and pharmaceuticals. So it's essentially how to improve the healthcare system, improve the patient-physician interaction, and I did that in hopes to go to medical school. I finished this past just a couple of months ago in July, and got into medical school at UAMS in February. Decided to defer, so I'm taking a year and kind of building a coaching program. So I'm currently doing private football coaching for really any age, but it's mostly junior high kids in the area. And I'm really loving it. It's been really fun. It's growing rapidly, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's where I'm at. I'm in Fayetteville right now too. So yeah,
That is absolutely awesome. I appreciate you being a part of the show tonight. You know, it's always fun when we can bring in former hogs, talk about football. I mean, this show's a fan-run show, but having Coach here, just getting that technical background to kind of see behind the curtain for the fan base is always kind of a cool thing. But we want to get in and start right into it tonight. Talking about the Kent State game. Went in with some expectations. I think the fans did, based off of kind of what you saw UCF and Gus Malzahn's offense do to Kent State the week before. Arkansas seemed to struggle running the football, Coach. Couldn't get the ball going early. I know they finished in the plus column as far as rushing yards go, won the game 28-6. Tell me, Coach, what did you see from an offensive line point of view? What are you seeing that the average fan maybe doesn't understand of what's going on with his offensive line right now?
Well, number one, like you said, I mean, everybody was like, well, I'm not concerned after Western Carolina. And it's hard not to be concerned when that might be the weakest team they play and they can't run the football, because I know Sam Pittman wants to run the football. But, again, I'm a realist for those that are watching for the first time. I'm not the one that just is going to do the sunshine stuff. But, the bottom line is we didn't get any movement, but it may be deeper than that. It looks to me like the right side and the left side are doing two different things. It's like they're not stepping in unison. Some are getting depth on zone plays, some are not, some are – and they're leaving gaps in there that are easy for defenders to get in. So, Coach Pittman being an offensive line guy, and arguably, if you talk to coaches, I mean, I've talked to NFL coaches, and he's recognized as one of the best around. If you get a guy from him, they're going to be good technical guys, good fundamentals, and all those things. So, it's hard though as a head coach to divide your time and go do that. But man, I really think he needs to put his brand on those offensive linemen, because they're not getting the push. I mean, he said that in his own comments, that they're not knocking guys off the ball. But you don't have to do that, but you at least have to be playing in unison. And it doesn't look like they're doing that either.
Yeah, watching them Saturday, it seemed like, I didn't see Kent State doing anything, Brooks, to a point where they were throwing any exotic blitz packages or doing anything really crazy. It's just they were putting 6-7 guys in the box, daring us to run the football. Getting pressure. I mean, I think KJ got sacked twice on Saturday, which is that doesn't happen a lot. They ran KJ a little more than I'd like to see. But Brooks, from a linebacker's point of view, when you see an offensive line that's struggling like that on tape, I mean, it's got to make you want to lick your chops a little bit for the next week, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you see gaps like that, and if you see especially from other SEC teams, like you see a team like Kent State come in here and do that to our line, like that gives you a lot of confidence as a defense, you know. So we got to do something different. The physicality needs to improve, and I think it's all mental. I mean, it's all just a matter of want to, matter of. Granted, like it is Kent State, and sometimes it is difficult to have the same energy that you would have against, or the same kind of motivation or whatever it is that you would against Alabama. There's not as much excitement. So, I mean, but that's just an excuse. Like you got to treat every game like it's an Alabama game, and we got to bring that to this game against BYU.
It's the old adage of a trap game. You're looking at the guy next down the road, and we're not that far removed from conference play. I mean, we got BYU on Saturday, then we're going to LSU the following weekend, and you got to wonder if maybe some of that was in play.
Man, if we're looking 2 weeks ahead, we've got real problems. I mean, nobody looks 2 weeks ahead, and let's be honest, they averaged 3.8 yards a carry. UCF against the same team averaged twice that many. Averaged 7.5 yards a carry. And that's something we've got to address, because when we get in the SEC, we're going to need to be able to run the football, because we're not a team that can line up and just throw it every play. And I don't think there's any looking ahead. I think Pittman put his finger on him and said, "Hey, we've got to run the ball this week," almost to a point. Now, some of that may be on the coordinator's fault, or it may be Sam's fault. Hey, you're going to run the ball on first down. Well, they pretty much figure out we're going to run the ball on first down, and it's a little different game. But man, they're going to have to do something, and BYU is not going to be an easy task, because the one thing they do have, they're not skill player crazy on defense or offense, but man, they've always got the linemen, because they get those big Tongans and Samoans, and those guys are very, very active for their size.
Well, Saturday, it seemed like the defense was kind of the standout of the day. They hadn't allowed a touchdown this season. So, I mean, they're doing something right. Definitely the opposite of what we saw last year at the start of the year. I think the Hogs defense has allowed only 26 rushing yards. That's the fewest since 2017. Antonio Greer, very first snap as a Hog, picks off a pass, takes it 25 yards for a touchdown. I mean, Brooks, tell the folks that are listening to Big Pig, what's that like as a Razorback when you score that first defensive touchdown in DWRRS? What is it like as a football player? What's that feel like? Tell us.
Well, I wish I knew. I wish I scored. I wish I scored in DWRRS. That was impressive. You said that so quickly. Yeah, I wish I could have scored, but that's oh my God. Like I scored. Actually, scoring in an opponent stadium is pretty nice too. But I mean, it was a game changer. I mean, it completely shifts the momentum. The team gets hyped up. You're going crazy on the sideline, and you just get I remember we did this against Florida back in 2016. It was 2016, I think. They were backed up, and we got a pick, and we scored, and we set the tone for the game, and that's such a game changer. And we ended up winning that game. So plays like that, you got to take advantage when they happen, because it really shifts the momentum. It really gives you so much more confidence and energy and just excitement about like getting back on the field and knowing that you might be able to do it again. Even if you get in the right position, hey, go snag you one.
This defense, Arkansas's defense, man, for consecutive weeks, for the first time since 16, we've had an interception for a touchdown. I mean, that's a long time to go that far between games and have that, we have interceptions for touchdown. Jaheim Thomas and notice these two guys I'm talking about, transfer guys, one from USF, one from Cincinnati. He showed up in a huge way again on Saturday. He had 12 tackles, 3 solo, had 2 for loss, tied his career high with sacks for a sack and a half on Saturday. And that's just his second game with double-digit sacks or double-digit tackles in his whole career. Coach, what is different this year from last year? I mean, I realize Western Carolina, Kent State, but it seems like there's something a little bit different about this defense.
Number one, I think they got a little confidence against West Carolina. And like Brooks said, a pick six is a game changer. And major confidence comes when you get a game changer like that. And at the same time, then everybody starts looking to take the ball away. All of a sudden, it's possible. It's a deal. You feel how it changes the game. And I think everybody's looking a little bit more to be aggressive, make those jumps on the balls for interceptions, poke the ball out on fumbles and things like that. And then at the same time, everybody wants to say they played a big part in changing the game. And there's no bigger way on defense to change the game than a sack or a turnover.
Going back and looking at the offensive side of the ball real quick from Saturday, KJ played like KJ. I mean, he didn't light it up throwing the ball so much. I think he only had 136, 138 yards. But he threw 2 touchdown passes in the red zone, something we had trouble with last year. Seemed like we'd get inside the 20 and we kept backing up, or we just couldn't get it across the goal line. He's had 2 TDs in his last 6 games as a Razorback. Finished the day with 13 and 19 for 136, but he was also sacked twice on Saturday. We talked about the offensive line struggles, struggling to run the ball, but A.J. Green got his first start, carried the ball 15 times for 82 yards. Coach, KJ carried the ball 13 times for 63 yards. And I know Coach Pittman said, yeah, that's by design. And you know how I feel. I'd love to hear Brooks's opinion on this too. I don't like KJ carrying the ball that much, especially going into SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, those are games, Western Carolina and Kent State were games where we needed to work on our regular running game. We need to work on throwing the football in the middle of the field. Maybe work on screens, things like that are going to help us in the SEC. Running KJ is for you need to save him for when you need him. We saw last year a guy misses 3 games because he gets beat up because, he is a tough kid and doesn't want to run out of bounds and doesn't want to slide and do all those things when he needs to. There was a time last week that he could have gotten out of bounds and gotten the first down anyway, but he curved back in to go run over a guy. Well, you respect, a wise man once told me on things like that. He looked at me and he said, son, your courage is strong, but your judgment's weak. And that's what it is because the team needs him. They saw that last year. The only thing I can say about that is you and I both feel the same way. Run when you have to, run when it's on the line, run when you're running for a first down. But other than that, you shouldn't have to against Kent State. You didn't have to against Kent State, and you certainly don't have to run it back in. I'm glad we got Jacoby Criswell because, I've been touting him since he transferred here last year as a guy that I think if he has to play, and we don't want him to have to, but if he has to play, I think we can run the same offense with him and he'll be good. I coached against him in high school and I think he's a phenomenal young man, a phenomenal player, but we don't need to get there. We don't need to have to get halfway through the season, halfway through what's coming up, like basically walking through Death Valley with A&M and Ole Miss and Bama and LSU lined up. And with a change of quarterbacks halfway through because we're running our quarterback too much.
Well, my preacher would call it the valley of the dry bones. When Elisha was walking through the valley of dry bones, that's what it's going to be like those next 4 games because it's going to be. Brooks, tell me, when as a linebacker, and I know you played at a high level, when you see a quarterback of that size get outside and you and him are one-on-one, I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously you're thinking I got to put something on him or he's not going down.
Better buckle up, baby.
Skin strap, right?
Yeah, buckle up, dude. You better bring everything you've got because when he's got that when a quarterback has that size, he has kind of an extra sense of confidence that he can run people over, and that's what KJ has. Like he knows that because he's bigger than people, he's going to be able to get some extra yards, so he feels like he can. And so as a linebacker, you're doing everything you can to prevent that, knowing that he's not going to take the slide. He's going to get those extra yards. And so you better buckle it up and be ready.
I'm going to tell you, I get nervous every time he gets outside the pocket. Now, if it's him and a safety, him in a corner, I'm not that worried. He gets up against Harold Perkins out in the open, I start going, okay, just don't hit him in the knees and don't go for his head. And I'm okay with that. But I saw a couple times Saturday late in the game, especially when he would run, he'd get outside a little bit. Guys start diving at his ankles. They start diving at his knees. They start turning him in the pile, trying to twist that ankle a little bit. I mean, as I was a defensive end. So we're taught, turn that ankle a little bit when you're getting up out of that pile, give that guy a little twist. I just hate to see him doing it this early in the season that many times. Coach.
Well, it was scary, Matt, whenever, he hit that one D-back. The safety came up, made the tackle, and they both went low, shoulder to shoulder. The other kid ended up getting hurt.
Yep.
What people don't see and what they don't realize is, and Brooke could probably attest to this, he probably dealt with a lot of athletic trainers, but, right then KJ gets up and he goes back to the huddle. What we may not see is micro tears in his labrum or in his rotator cuff that don't show up right then. But the next time he gets hit there, that plus that one may be what takes him out of the game. When if he didn't have that one, the next one wouldn't put him out either. And that's what somebody needs to educate him on is look, you just can't keep taking these big shots unless it's a crucial time in the game when we need you to. That was not a crucial time when he took that one. And like I say, I respect his toughness and stuff, but dang, that was a crushing blow to both sides. The other kid didn't get up and KJ did. So hats off to his toughness, but football's more than being tough. If it was about being tough, we just line up out there and let them hit each other with baseball bats, and whoever's the last man standing wins the game. But that's not it.
I'll say this, the safety for Kent State, he hit him 3 times Saturday. Got knocked out of the game all 3 times. He came back in. That's a set of cojones right there. To be able to get knocked on your butt, be visibly, this dude was shook up. I think the second time he was laid up like, I was like, I don't think he's coming back. And then 2 plays later, he's back on the field. Those Ohio kids are just different. The kids I know that played in Ohio or the guys I know that played in high school ball and played college ball, some of those small schools up there, they're just different. They I don't know what it is in the water up there. They're just tough, just pine knot tough. But, Coach Pittman noted in the post-game press conference that they were outplayed physically. Said that the line isn't knocking people off the ball right now, especially on the edge. And Coach, you alluded to it earlier. What's the answer? What does Cody Kennedy got to do? Because, I've listened to a lot of different call-in radio shows in Arkansas. Of course, I'm in Alabama, so I have to get on the internet and hear these things. Read a lot on Twitter. The armchair quarterback's on Twitter. What does Coach Kennedy have to do to get this line straightened out before we get into conference play?
Man, they're just going to have to, at some point, it just comes down to very boring rep. You got to rep. And, they're rotating guys in and on the offensive line, like their defensive linemen. I think Coach Pittman even at one point said, well, they do it on the defensive line. It's not the same, though. Those guys have to step in unison. They have to identify fronts. Sometimes the last second the ball is snapped and nobody gets to make a call to change what they're doing. They need to recognize that. And that's just repping one group of 5. I'm all about having a good backup and next man up, but they're switching guys in so much. They're not getting to work the same 5 guys in consecutive series. And it is more, honestly, I love O-lines and D-lines. That's everybody says that's where you win games. I know that's where you win games. I can have a great quarterback, and if I've got a good O-line, he's going to throw for 4,000. If I've got a great O-line, he's going to throw for 5,000. Same thing with a running back. It's the difference between a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,500-yard rusher if your O-line's great. It's more of a choreography than it is a line up and just knock them down, because defenses are so good nowadays. The combination blitzes are so good. They've always got some specialists in the pass rush, some run game guys. Those guys have to work in unison. The only way you get that is working together as a group for a period of time. So I think that's what they need to do is stay with the same 5 dang guys and work those guys until they get their steps down the same, their IDs the same, and their communication really, really good.
Looking at kind of the personnel, they keep swapping in Tykees Crawford and Joshua Braun, a kid out of Florida. Part of me wishes they would move Limmer back to guard. Because if you look at the end of last year, Bo was one of the top 5 rated guards by PFF in the whole country. Mel Kiper had great things to say about him pre-draft last year. But you look at what they got, they literally would have to start a true freshman at center. And we haven't done that since Frank Ragnow was here. And I don't know we have a Frank Ragnow on this, as far as the center on this roster right now. I mean,
I'm pretty sure we don't have a Frank Ragnow on the roster.
Definitely not.
I'm,
Definitely not.
Did you see him pull in that Kansas City game from the center spot
it was
when
sick.
Jamar Gibbs made that nice run? Unbelievable. I mean, that's what a player.
I mean, heck of a get for the Hogs. I mean, I love seeing Razorbacks succeed in the NFL because it just shines a big light on the state. Because I don't think our players from our state, even our undrafted free agents, I don't think they get enough respect nationally in the NFL myself. But like I said, I've looked, and Tommy Barhall, I know he played some center in high school. Paris Patterson, the kid out of East St. Louis, and then the what's that young man's name out of Paris? Luke Brown out of Paris, Tennessee. But all three of those guys are 6'5", 6'6". I don't know that coach wants a 6'5", 6'6" center right now. I mean, plus a guy that doesn't have any snaps in live action, especially going into conference play. You spoke about it a while ago, this 3.8 yards per carry. If you'd have told me at the first of the season that that's where we would be setting offensively, I'd be like, man, what? Come on, no way. But you got Rocket Sanders hasn't played since Western Carolina. Still got the dodgy knee. Nobody knows what's really going on there. Coach, I think, alluded to there's still some swelling going on. There's a lot of rumors floating around, and we don't do rumors on this show. But I gotta see. I want to see us get back to that 4.5 to 4.8 yards per carry again, like we were last year. I know it's a different offense. I know Dan Enos' offense can do that. Saw it at Maryland. I said it when he was here at Arkansas before. I saw it when he was at Alabama. Of course, at Alabama, he had a roster. He could just pull guys out of the locker room, just whoever he wanted. But just want to see us get back to that 4.5, 4.8 yards per carry. I think that's a sweet spot for the Hogs. But real quick, want to hit an ad. Our sponsor, Barley and Vine out of Bentonville, Arkansas. If you're ready for mouth-watering tavern-style pizza and a drink menu that'll make you say cheers, you got to head to Barley and Vine in downtown Bentonville. If you're going to be in Fayetteville this weekend before the game, take a ride up to Bentonville. Go see our friends at Barley and Vine. They specialize in pizzas ranging from your basic cheese to some awesome chef-inspired specialty pies you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. They got 32 different kinds of beer on tap, local brewery favorites, and a curated selection of regional craft beers. Maybe you're more of a wine person or you got your wife with you. Don't worry, we got you covered with selections from all around the globe. They are diehard Razorback fans at Barley and Vine. Their passions extend beyond pizza, beer, and wine. They're all about the Big Pig energy. If you go in there and you mention Big Pig, you're going to get a free pizza dip with the purchase of a large pie. Go check them out. It's going to be some exciting stuff. They also, on Saturdays, they have a pint and a slice on Fridays and Saturdays. Get a slice of house pizza and a featured beer of the week for just $7. I don't know a better deal in Northwest Arkansas if you just want to go hang out with your buddies, watch a little Friday night ball on TV. Make your way to Barley and Vine, where pizza, beer, wine, and Razorback sports live in perfect harmony. We're waiting on our other guest. He's
texting me right now. He said he was having trouble getting on, but he just now said got it. So
okay, good. So we're gonna have our other guest here in a minute. So we're gonna kind of kill some time, get another ad in real quick. One of our other sponsors that's doing a lot of work for Big Pig Energy, is doing our T-shirt and a lot of our artwork, the stuff on social media. Better Mind, Better Body, also known as BMBB Lifestyle Print Company, established in 2016, founded and based out of Vancouver, Washington. Man, it started as a men's mental health group, but now leads the community in mental health awareness through service projects and custom apparel. BMBB is not just a lifestyle. It's not just a brand. It's a lifestyle. Hence the name BMBB Lifestyle. If you get on their website, which is bmbb.com, put in Big Pig Energy, you get a free shipping on any orders. Man, look who we got here. We got a special guest tonight, Mr. David Basil, Mr. Arkansas himself. Let's see, what all have you got? You got the show with no name, Monday Morning Mayhem, Touchdown Club, Broyles Award, Cliff Harris, Harlan Hill. Am I missing anything, Mr. Basil?
That's enough. That's enough.
He's one of my favorite people in Arkansas radio. I appreciate you joining us, David. It's awesome to have you. I know it's Thursday night, there's football on. You could be doing a lot of other things, but you done us a favor and showed up tonight. Appreciate you being here, man.
Oh, great to be here and to see Kevin and Brooks Ellis. Hey, what's up, Brooks? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
It has been a while. How you been doing? Good.
Living the dream. Living the dream. Yeah.
That dude's still in shape, man. He can still get it done.
Hey, me and you, baby. Let's go line it up.
I got one play left in me, but I've gone, Brooks, what it is, I've gone from a linebacker to a nose guard now. It's well,
Gotcha.
I'm ashamed to say it. I'm not like Kevin Kelly. I'm not in great shape like he is.
The one thing Brooks or me or Matt can't say is they didn't tackle Bo Jackson.
I'm going to milk that until the day they put me 6 feet under. That's all I got.
And you should, because that's why God didn't let me do anything great like that, or I'd have T-shirts and like I killed Bo Jackson 5 times.
Why you haven't put that on the T-shirt to this day is beyond me. I could bring those down to Birmingham; they'd sell like hotcakes. I promise.
I bet. I hear you.
Would love it. We're going to dive into the BYU game real quick. Hogs are favored by 8.5 at home. The over and under is 47.5. You know, everybody's looking at this game. For me, it feels like a trap game a little bit, you know, because we got LSU next weekend. Last year went to Provo, had a great experience, beat them 52-35. They gave us some ice cream, I think, in the third quarter. But that was last year. This is this year. Looking at BYU, their defense has been the strength of the Cougars so far these first 2 games from what I've seen. They had a 14-0 win against Sam Houston, 41-16 against Southern Utah last week. One guy's name keeps sticking out. It's Tyler Beatty. He's a 6'5", 273-pound defensive end. This kid's a monster to block on the right side, Coach. Talking about what we were earlier with the struggles on the offensive line. If they don't figure it out, this Beatty kid may have a big day.
Yeah, and that's not what we need. Like you said, going into conference play the next week, hope we're not looking ahead, but man, we've got to get some confidence on that offensive line. Giving up 2 sacks to Kent State isn't getting that direction, averaging 3.8 yards a carry against a team that Gus and UCF averaged 7.5 yards a carry on it and getting it done. So we've got hopefully Pittman put his brand, like I talked about, on the offensive line. And it gets those guys more cohesive. Like I say, I hope they play 5 guys and get those same guys used to playing together and communicating and all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be an easy task. I've got a kid that played for me on the defensive line for BYU, Caden Hawes, and he is he does what they want him to do. He's in the middle, plugging holes, tying up linemen so the linebackers are free. Brooks would like a guy like him in front of him. I promise you, that's tying up 2 dudes. So you can go make plays, and he knows his role. He's not out there trying to make sacks and do that unless he's called upon. He's trying to tie up the guys, and they play good team football. I think it'll be a great test for Arkansas and a get you ready for the SEC physicality type game as far as that goes. And I'll be honest, I've picked against Arkansas, many, many times, not to win, but against the spread. I have a feeling they come out and play really well this week and win by 3 touchdowns. I don't know why they haven't shown me anything like that. And I hate gut feelings, but I really do feel like they put it together this week.
Looking at these 2 teams offensively, and as far as the running game goes, it's been kind of a lack of a running game for both teams. I think BYU's coming in averaging around 79 yards a game. The Hogs are around 139, which most of that came out of Saturday's game. A lot of it came on the back of A.J. Green. Offensively, BYU loves this. They call it the spread and shed. It's this power spread passing game. It's full of quick passes, sprint outs, play action, screens. They'll have some drop back pass plays. Coach, from a standpoint of timing and ease, the drop back pattern of this quarterback is different on each of these concepts. From a defensive perspective, and I'd love to hear David or Brooks chime in on this, what is this going to do to the secondary? Because the secondary for Arkansas, I don't think it's been tested yet.
Who wants it first?
Go ahead. David, you go ahead
first. A couple thoughts. Yeah, I was there at BYU last year, and that was a pretty amazing day. I remember being up in the press box, and we could not stop them passing wise. And that was, if you remember, that's when Sam Pittman turned to Barry Odom and said, "I don't care if they rush for 800 yards, drop 8." They were running past our safeties. It was the craziest thing. I was like, "How in the world can we not cover any?" We couldn't cover anybody. I was so stunned, and that's why we end up being 132 out of 132 or whatever it was in pass defense last year. And I think we're better on that side of the ball. I think you're right. They got a quarterback who's been around the block, obviously spent 2-3 years at USC, last year at Pitt, veteran guy, knows the game. So you got a veteran there. By the way, I do want to go back to your player, Kevin, Caden Hawes. Brooks, you ought to see this kid. So I remember going out there. I was on the field just to look for him last year because I knew he was a Little Rock kid. I've never seen a dude. It's the biggest set of thighs I've ever seen. Here's the deal. He is 6'2". I just made sure on the roster.
He's not 6'2", David.
Okay. So again,
he might be 5'11".
5'11", 310. He's 5'11", 310. And I'm telling you, his thigh.
Oh my God.
50. It's the thickest.
He is the largest thighs I've ever seen.
Yeah. And so obviously they're playing better defense this year. Obviously, the top 10 in rushing defense, again, haven't played really anybody, but yeah, I think we all sort of as a fan base felt that this would be a little bit more comfortable game. And I think with the difficulties that we've seen, I think we're going to have a challenge. And, I still think we're going to win the game. I think we know what we're in. I think Sam Pittman mentioned it this week. He said there's no quick fix to what's happening on the offensive line, which is sort of a head scratcher. And I love Sam, but he's in year 4. And the fact we've got a true freshman at right tackle, a redshirt freshman at left tackle, and they're struggling in year 4. Hard to believe that, with the transfer portal and all that we're at this point. There's nowhere to hide at this point. The only thing I saw last week that I think I feel good about is I remember telling Steve Sullivan last Saturday, I turned around and said, if they don't give KJ, start having design run plays for him, they're going to lose this game, because I don't think the Dan Enos pro style. You're going to hand off. You're going to, you're going to drop back to pass. No rush. I mean, no hurry to the line of scrimmage. I just don't think it's going to work with a struggling offensive line. And once KJ, he had 15 carries last week, 14 to 15. Once he did that, he opened up the defense just a little bit, loosened up the defense where they were able to have a little bit of success. But I just don't think, unless they've decided he needs to be a threat, I don't think this offense is going to work. I just don't think it's going to work without him being a running threat. Think about this, guys. Last year, they're top 7. They're number 7 in the country in rushing, 300 yards a game. This year, you're at 105, 172 the first 2 games. And KJ is not a storyline. KJ is not a part of this offense from a running threat, and it's not going to work. You didn't have guys that were open. You didn't have separation receivers. You're not blocking anybody up front. And and he may get hurt, but he's going to get hurt. You got a good backup. If you don't, you're going to lose. That's my opinion.
You're taking the opposite approach of Matt and I. I don't want to see him run the ball that much unless it's needed. Unless it's needed. Now, if he needs to run it, he needs to run it. But maybe you're right. Maybe it is freak. Let's just open up every possibility. I was kind of hoping we weren't in that bad a shape on offense, but maybe it is. Open it all up, not worry about it. If he gets hurt, we got a good backup and trust him and send him in and do the same thing. But you're right. We got to do something. I'm disappointed a little bit. I think, I thought bringing in a new OC, and he's been here before, and he was coach for Bama, did a great job down there. I thought we were going to be a little more creative. You don't have to have receivers that can get separation.
Yeah,
you don't have to. If you're smart enough to design good plays, to twist them and cross them on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage. We call them switch routes. You can do all that, and D-backs can't play on them like that. They've got to give them space. And I just don't see us doing that. But that would help the passing game and the running game, because everybody's got to back up a little bit.
Yep. You mentioned, David, you mentioned Keaton Slovis. This kid's played USC for 3 years, then went out and played a year at Pitt. He went for 348 Saturday on Southern Utah, 22 of 32, scored 4 TDs, had an interception. The one thing I saw was 93% of his passes are for 10 yards or more. So he's throwing past the sticks every time he gets up and goes back to pass. He's not throwing it short. That's the difference from last year. BYU kept trying to play that intermediate pass game, 5 to 10 yards kind of on the slants, running stuff on the inside, running inside, outside. It's going to be a little different look for the Razorbacks, I think, defensively. BYU's offensive line, though, they've allowed 11 quarterback hurries, no sacks so far. Their offensive line shows some weakness both in the guard positions, which I think may prove positive, Brooks, for an aggressive Razorback front four.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about the front four. I'm feeling good about the front seven, really. I mean, that's a completely different front seven, and the guys are flying around. The new Jaheim is doing well. There's a bunch of new guys in there that are just you just see the speed and the tenacity that they bring, and especially up front, like that's a game changer. I think when you drop 8 and you don't have a rush, like obviously it's not going to work out because he can just stay in the pocket for so long. But this year is a different story. So we're going to bring the heat, I feel like, and have to force him to move out or get a little uncomfortable in there. And I think that's going to be a game changer.
David, the one thing I haven't seen yet, I haven't seen Chris Paul get the quarterback. I saw a huge play from him when he came in the second half. He missed the first half because of the suspension. He made the social media post apologizing. I'm like, dude, you ain't got to apologize for nothing, man. You did what you did. But he came in the second half like he was on fire. Made a huge play on that four down series right near the goal line. Seeing that linebacker play, what does that do for a defense, David? I mean, how much does that inspire that front seven to get after it this week?
Well, he's a team leader. He's a very vocal guy, very physical, and it's sort of weird. It just he was ejected, I guess, when he had the targeting the first game. Then you lose him you don't have him in the first half of this game, and but yeah, he's a stud. You look at him, and Antonio Greer comes in one play, and he's got a pick six, and Jaheim Thomas is a good looking player. He's tall and long, and I like Jordan Crook and the kid who returned the pick six as well. I mean, I think they've got a really good core of linebackers. They play well. Again, it's hard to tell from the first 2 games, to be quite honest. This will be the best test, obviously, for this defense yet. I'm a little disappointed. I like the defensive line. I think there's quality depth, and we saw some good plays. But first game I didn't see as much penetration. I didn't see a movement. I didn't see disruption on the line of scrimmage. So each week it's the degree of difficulty goes up. So I'll be anxious. I feel more comfortable with the defense than I do the offense at this point. But, I think both sides of the ball, I think that's where we're going to live or die. And we've struggled on the defensive line to get a push, to get penetration, to disrupt. And now you got 8 bodies you're running in and out of there. And so who are going to be the guys? Landon Jackson obviously made several good plays, big play on the 4th and 1 at the goal line. But yeah, this is going to be a fun test. This is going to be a fun game. We didn't think it was going to be. Obviously, Vegas sees it's gone from Arkansas favored by 10 now to 8. So the money's going more towards BYU in that area. But I think it's going to be a good test for both sides of the ball. I think BYU is probably a better team than they were last year.
Looking at BYU's defense, going back to that for a second, Kalani Sitake had to make a change at the end of the year. I mean, he had to make a defensive change. I mean, they went downhill after the Arkansas game. Brings in Jay Hill from Weber State. Guy's a well-known FCS coach, defensive guy. Bring in a base 4-3, likes to play a lot of one high safety. And the one thing I noticed from watching the Sam, I got to watch them play against Sam Houston. They're flying around running to the football. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of that first year Sam was here in 2020 when during the COVID year. It just seemed like they were swarming to the football. Every time the ball would hit the second level, guys were just coming out of nowhere. I expect them to be aggressive on Saturday night and play very gap sound defense based on what I know about Coach Hill. We're gonna shift gears. We're getting close to the end of the show, but I want to shift gears. We're gonna get into Coach Kelly's pick'em. Last week, Coach Kelly and I went 5-2 apiece. We missed out on the Texas-Alabama game and the A&M Miami game, which I was kind of shocked. I didn't think Miami would win that game. I didn't think they had a snowball's chance. Kind of the way we do this, guys, I give guys a point spread and the over and under, but it's just a straight up pick them how you feel, okay? We'll start with David, go to Brooks, then Coach, and then I'll go last. LSU at Mississippi State. LSU's favored by 9.5 on the road. Over and under is 54.5. David, who you got?
Yeah, that's a tricky one just because, you're wondering what LSU team is going to show up. Obviously, tough environment there at Starkville. 9.5 is a lot of points for me, but I'm not ready. Listen, there's a lot of people that are flushing LSU already after the FSU game. I'm just telling you, FSU is a darn good football team. I'm not ready to flush LSU. I do think they win and cover on the road.
Go ahead, Brooks.
What was the spread again?
9.5 LSU.
Man, I take Mississippi State. I don't. Yeah. One, I just hate LSU, and I think Mississippi State's going to be play well at home. So let's go State.
Hey, coach.
I think exactly like David does. FSU's a great team, and in the third quarter, LSU was tied with them, and then FSU busted that 4th and 1 little pass to the running back out of the backfield when the two linebackers screwed up the coverage, and really that changed the whole game. I think they're a good football team. Brian Kelly always does better in his second and third years out of school, and I think they go to Mississippi State and win it pretty easily.
I got to go with Brooks. I can't ever pick purple and gold. And I got friends that played at Mississippi State, so I'm going cowbell. I honestly don't think that's what's going to happen, but I just can't pick LSU. Kansas State at Mizzou. Kansas State's favored by 5 in Columbia. Over and under is 48. There's a lot of rumbling that if they lose this game, Eli's name's going to start getting like serious hot seat stuff. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't watched enough, but I think that the seat is going to get hot. I think Kansas State's a better football team. It is on the road, but I'll go with Kansas State.
Brooks. Brooks, you're on mute, bro. There you go.
My bad. Same with David. I haven't watched a lot of Mizzou or Kansas State, but I'm going with Kansas State. I got one of my friends is the strength coach over there, one of the strength coaches. So got to root for the Wildcats.
Coach?
I'm always rooting for SEC teams when they play out of conference teams. So not only am I rooting for them, I know people in Arkansas don't like Eli Drinkwitz. I like him. He had me up in March and went up there and visited. He's a good guy, very smart, analytical guy. He always plays the teams that are difficult. He plays them well. Remember Georgia last year?
Yep.
Closest anybody was to meeting Georgia, but he always plays the good teams well and plays and they kind of play down to the level of competition against the bad teams. I think they beat them straight up. Not only you get the points and you're beating them straight up.
Well, this is another one that I can't pick Mizzou. I mean, I got family that went there. I just can't do it. But I think this is the 100th time Kansas State's played Missouri. I got to go K-State. This used to be a marquee game. Tennessee at Florida. UT's favored by 6.5 in the Swamp. Over and under is 58.5. David, who you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I mean, the Gators, they're talking Chad Morris decision down there in Gainesville if things don't turn around quickly. Tennessee struggled a little bit. I think Tennessee's the better team, but it's tough to win down there in the Swamp. What's the line on it, by the way?
6.5.
Half. Over and under 58.
Ooh. I'm gonna roll the dice and say the Gators come up with a way to win this one. That's probably me just knowing that having been down there, grew up in Florida, tough to win in the Swamp, and their backs against the wall. It would be a big step in the right direction if the Gators get the win.
And that's a tough one too. I'd have to. I'm going Tennessee with this one. I don't believe in Florida. From what I've seen so far, I don't believe in them. I think Tennessee's going to pull it through.
I'm going to remind you guys, last week, Tennessee played Austin Peay, and they were up 13-6 at halftime. I'm not a believer in Milton as a quarterback, just from I know a couple guys that played with him at Michigan. And Swamp's tough place to play. I think Napier's a good football coach. I'm not sure what's going on down there now. It is a tough play. I'm with David. I think Florida wins this one somehow.
Yeah, Coach, I'm with you. I can't pick teams in orange. I was raised better than that, and Florida's not going to be wearing orange on Saturday, so I got to go with Florida. Me personally, I think the biggest problem Florida's got is Florida's boosters won't get out of the way of their football program. They won't leave them alone. They every 4 or 5 years they're in there and they start meddling, and then things go to hell and they blow it up and want to start all over again. And they want Urban Meyer, they want Steve Spurrier. There ain't that many guys out there with the last name Spurrier or Meyer. They're just not there.
Well, this would be a big step, as bad as they looked, in game one to get this and against. And I'm with Kevin. obviously this quarterback, I saw that quarterback in person down at the Manning Passing Academy, and he's got a good bazooka of an arm. I mean, I saw him throw a ball 75 yards just, casually. But yeah, I don't think he's the same guy as they had last year. I don't think. We'll see.
Colorado State at Colorado. Colorado's favored by 23, 60.5 point over under. Guys, if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money on the over because I think Deion's a little motivated. David, what do you think?
Yeah. That's it's crazy. That's a night game. They got a game day there. I mean, the place is going to be rocking. And yeah, I don't know much about Colorado State, but what an amazing story that they'll probably go 3-0 to start the season. When I think the future on that bet, right, was them to win 3 games for the entire season. I think, yeah, pretty remarkable.
Brooks?
Yeah, I'm on the hype train of Deion Sanders. Like, he is. I mean, I'm watching all of his videos. He walks the walk. He definitely talks the talk. I'm pulling for them. It's going to be a big game. And there's a video that came out today. He was talking about how the Colorado State coach came out and said, like, I take my hat off and my sunglasses off when I talk to parents. Yes. And he was telling his team that, and he was like, "Hey, it's personal, baby. It's personal. I don't talk crap about anybody else, but hey, they come to me. It's personal now." So yeah, they got a little extra chip on their shoulder this week.
That's right.
I am not a fan of Deion Sanders. I coached with him for a week at an all-star game, and not a fan. Not a fan. Now, he's a good motivator guy. For him to say that's personal because he didn't take off, the guy said that about his sunglasses. Have you ever been around Deion? I mean, been around. All he is personal against everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just bullcrap. He's looking. What he's gonna, and I can't wait. I can't wait till this train runs off the rails. I really can't wait.
It will in 2 weeks when they play Oregon and
it's gonna run. It's gonna run off the rails and into the side of the mountain. In a couple of weeks, and that's all. That's all. Wait, but when it does, when you have to dig for motivation to win a football game, that works only so long, and then it comes down to you got to be motivated because you want to go out there and beat the other guy's butt. Because you want to play well at home, because you go out there and practice your butt off every day. And football is the toughest, greatest sport that's ever been invented. And when you're on the field, you owe it to everybody on your team to go out there and kill yourself to win the game. Not because some guy talked about you wearing sunglasses when you're talking to parents. I hate that kind of motivation. I despise it. That all said, Colorado's going to win this game because Colorado State sucks. Yeah. But I cannot wait until this train just blows up.
I'm still on the train until it blows up. So
now I will say this: for the first 2 weeks, phenomenal job he's done getting his teams ready, getting the right guys the ball. He's done everything a great coach would do. So maybe I'm not saying he's not a good coach because he's done a great job. I'm just saying I want it to blow up.
I mean, obviously, I'm picking Prime. South Kakalaki at Georgia. I actually have heard some Carolina fans think they actually have a shot. Georgia is favored by 27.5 at home, over and under 54.5.
Yeah, I had no idea that South Carolina would be as bad as they've been this year. I should have done my prep on the Gamecocks, but man, they've been bad. They're not a good football team right now, and playing Georgia this week's not going to help any. So whatever the line is, Georgia's going to cover it.
God.
I agree. I think they dominate.
Yeah, I mean, I with Spencer Rattler, last year's Spencer Rattler with whatever they were doing on offense, they kind of always had a chance. I mean, they showed that at the end of the year when they rolled off, I think 5 of 6 wins. But watching Georgia play last week, because I was watching our boy Lane Hatcher play. Holy freak! I mean, they're just really, really good. Now they are not as good on offense as they have been.
Yep.
So they're beatable later in the season. They're just probably not beatable by South Carolina. But I would love them to beat Georgia because our coach that was a tight ends coach for us went back down there. You know who I'm talking about, Dal Loggins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dow's a good guy, really good guy, a buddy of mine, and I'm wishing him well. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the offense going the right way right now.
No, they ain't got a snowball's chance. UGA actually may score all the over. I mean, I don't think South Carolina's defense is that great. I really don't. I think Carson Beck's going to have a little bit of a coming out party because their secondary looks real suspect at South Carolina. BYU at Arkansas, 6:30 kick. ESPN, Hogs favored. I've seen it by 8.5. Over and under is 47.5. David, give me your ideas, man.
Yeah, this. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a really good football game. I think being at home at night makes a difference. It'll be close. I think they cover probably not by much, but you're watching that last year. You could see as the game went on the number of athletes that Arkansas had versus BYU. Just it got a little as the game went on, overwhelmed them a little bit, and that's what obviously that's what an SEC program should do. I think BYU is better, but I think Arkansas is still good enough to win and cover.
You got a final score?
I think I picked 35-27 on Channel 7, so I'll stick with that.
All right. Brooks.
I agree. I think they're going to cover. I think last week was a wake-up call. I think they've been grinding this week, and they're ready to go, hit the ground running, and show people how they can really play. I think Enos is going to open up the playbook and bring some more creativity to the plays and get some more, open receivers, open running lanes, offensive line. Is going to improve their cohesiveness. I think this is the game that we come out and prove that this is the team that we thought we were going to have at the beginning of the year. So I think they cover, and it's going to be a great night in DWRRS, baby.
This is amazing how fast I can say that. I had to practice that in the mirror like for 30 minutes to say it that fast. Coach,
I'm gonna have to later.
Give us what you got.
He was right. You did reel that off fast, Matt, at the beginning. David wasn't here for that. He rolled off DWRRS, whatever it is. I mean, just
I was like what?
Like that's the first thing he's ever said when he was a baby or something. But that all said, I said earlier, I think they'll cover. I think they will. I still don't think they'll be able to run the football, but I do think they'll throw. That's where athletes really shine. It's in the pass game, just the speed in and out of breaks and those kinds of things. And somehow I think they show us something else. Now, I don't think we fix all of our offensive line problems by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we're good enough to beat them across the middle and on the back end in the passing game to do those. And I think our defense, and like Brooks said, our front seven has been the strong point maybe of our whole team. And, they're going to have to be. And if they do a good job, then there won't be a lot of scoring in the game. And, it might even be a 31-14 type game, if you look at it like that. And I think that's probably what it will be. But I'm glad I'll be in the stadium. My first time in Fayetteville in a while at a Razorback game. So I'm excited to be there. And I want the Hogs to win, but I want my boy Caden Hawes to play a really, really good game.
Yeah, I was supposed to come to this game this weekend, but the doctor's still not letting me travel yet. So haven't put this one off. But, looking at both teams, looking at what I know that we have, especially in the passing game, what KJ's been able to do throwing the football the first 2 weeks, I really think Dan Enos is going to open it up. I think it's going to get a little crazy. I think he's going to come out firing. I think out of the first 15 plays, I think 8 or 9 of them are going to be pass plays. I think he's going to try to set the tone early. He's going to go deep. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff 15, 20 yards past the sticks. I look for Isaac Tesla to have a huge night. That kid is just, every time I watch him play, I'm more and more impressed. It's rare to see a receiver with as much grit and as much toughness as he has going across the middle. He is not scared of anybody. Now, granted, he hadn't played against LSU or Alabama or any of the big guys yet, but just to see the guts that kid has with the ability that he's got, some of the catches he's made this year is impressive to me. So I think it's going to be a little bit bigger. I think Arkansas is going to win like 35-21. 36-21, somewhere in that ballpark. I really look for the running game to get involved. I think we're going to have a rusher go over 125. I really do. I think we're going to see it's either going to be AJ Green, or as they like to call him on Saturday, Rashad DeBunyan. And Dave Neal couldn't get his name right if I paid him. He kept calling him DeBunyan all day. It's driving me nuts. But I think Rashad DeBunyan is going to come out real big on Saturday. So look forward to that.
You guys that keep saying Enos is going to open up the playbook. Well, hell, why hadn't he opened it already? I mean, what are we, well, I'll say this. If he doesn't open that playbook this week, there ain't a playbook to open up.
That's right. That's right. As long as he doesn't come out and say, hey, we've got 35% of the offense installed.
Yeah. Oh my
Start
God.
doing these goofy twisted dances and club dub, I'm good. He can do what he needs to do. I'm good. Guys, I appreciate David. I appreciate you being here tonight. I know, man, it's short notice, but
Glad to be here.
Brooks, thank you, sir. You're one of my favorite hogs, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Love watching you play ball when you was up there, brother, man. Coach Kelly, love you too, man. Appreciate you being here. Guys, join us again next week. Big Pig Energy. We're going to be back next week, same time next Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We're going to have Jacoby Criswell on the show next week, Coach's favorite backup quarterback. Going to have him on. Going to have a couple other guests. Jordan Wright and Wright's Barbecue is going to join us as a guest host. Looking forward to that. Go check out Barley and Vine in Northwest Arkansas this weekend if you're up at the ball game. Love you guys. Go Hogs.